What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Brett Astaire, joined today by JSU. And JSU, the Run Pure team, had an exciting announcement today. Before we get into breaking down those games, do you want to let everybody know who's not quite clear on how exciting this really is? Oh, he's still muted.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
so, good
way to start the show. Right on mute, JSU. Good way to do it. But we pretty much got through a partnership with SaberSim now, and you guys that are members already, we've got a good deal for you guys. It's very simple to do. To just kind of upgrade your subscription. If you already have a subscription to Run Pure Sports, it should be easy to do to just add on the SaberSim package. If you're a new member, we've got a really nice deal going right now, limited time offer where you pretty much get the Run Pure Sports premium package along with SaberSim for a really nice deal. It's around like $130, I think, somewhere around there for the total package for those two. So if you want to sign up, now is the best time to do so. So check that out. It's already up on the site too. SaberSim's already up, running good. And we're going to kind of demo it on the two shows that we have later this afternoon. So Hardwood show live at 4:45 Eastern time for NBA. We're going to have a live screen share demo with SaberSim showing you guys how to use the Opto, going through NBA and just showing you all the little like tidbits and good stuff you can do to kind of optimize using the lineup builder for SaberSim. So it's going to be cool for that, for NBA guys. And then if you're an NFL guy, which most people who play DFS probably are NFL guys too, we're going to do a 6 p.m. show. So normally we have our showdown show at 3:45 Eastern time, but today we wanted to do the NBA show and then the NFL show from 6 to around 7:15. And we're going to do the same thing. Me, Big T, Tambo, maybe even Hoop will jump back on for that show. And we're going to do a screen share talking mainly about the showdown for NFL. But again, just showing you how, Big T uses the lineup optimizer for SaberSim and all the different stuff they have. So we're going to kind of demo it on those two shows. So definitely great stuff. It's going to be free too for everyone. So if you're someone who's not a subscriber, maybe you're looking to be one, or you just kind of want to check it out because you might be interested in what we have or SaberSim has to offer. It's perfect little combo to get that combo package. Limited time offer right now. So get in if you're not in.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that, JSU. I told you before we started, I mainly right now, I use AP's heat map. I use your core plays and I watch the show and I'm doing pretty good. So I'm really excited to add that, into my arsenal and really take the next step. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who watch this show that are like me that are, been betting for a long time and want to really expand the avenues. Cause it's like, if I already spend 8 to 10 hours a day studying the NBA, right? Why would I not take advantage of this extra opportunity to take money by entering DFS contests as well as placing my bets?
And real quick too, so the code, if you want to take advantage of this offer right now, the code is SABER15. So right. SABER15 is the code. It gets you, I think it was like 15% off. So check that out. It's a really good deal right now. Gets you the Run Pure Sports premium package along with the SaberSim optimizer. And if you're a member, you can still utilize the code. You just got to change your subscription. You just go to like my account and then click change subscription and you add the optimizer and you just punch in that code SABER15. It should still give you the 15% off for that. So make sure you guys check that out. If you have any questions too, email info@RunPureSports. We'll be able to help you out. You can obviously DM us in Discord, DM me, Tony, AP, Hoop, the captain. Any of us can kind of guide you guys in the right direction for the SaberSim info. So either email info@RunPureSports or hit us up in Discord if you're in Discord, and we'll help you get your subscription, whatever you want.
Yeah, and really excited about that. What a great acquisition for the team, and can't wait to dive in and use it. But of course, we'll be relying on your tutelage because I have very, very little experience using an optimizer. So that'd be a fun next step to take. JSU, you're going to have me entering 4K a night like you here pretty soon, right? Instead of my little lottery tickets that I play. But that being said, that's really exciting. But I'm sure everyone's excited about this short NBA slate tonight as well. I said to Travis on Tuesday for these slates, I think it's harder for betting and easier for me for DFS. I'm not saying for everybody, but just for me, because I can cross the games off the board, like last night in betting, but you can't cross the game off the board in DFS. I feel like I can just get a greater handle on all the good options for the value and the spend up. So I was making some lineups earlier. Can't wait to talk to you about it. But we're going to start with some bet sides, some sides and totals. We'll get into that. And then, of course, get your thoughts on how to approach these games. The first one, so this to me is the most exciting game of the night. The Utah Jazz are now -2.5 heading to Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. Sixers took a little money at home. Does not surprise me. Of course, this line was out to 3. It's been at 2.5, 3 all morning. Not a lot of movement there. I think that makes sense. This is a pretty even matchup. And I think that if you ask me to, I can make compelling arguments for both sides here. My idea is I do like Utah here. I just think that they're the more complete team. I think that the Philadelphia probably has a more talented roster if you're trying to trade pieces off. But just the way they play as a team, I do like Utah better. I don't really expect Gobert to trouble Embiid, though, which is odd, right? Because Embiid beats everybody. It's like that's why I think I've been critical about him, right? Because, sometimes I question his conditioning, and that's part of his handicap. And I think sometimes his leadership is weird. It's hard to be the guy that's joking around all the time and then get serious. And I think that might have caused a rift with Ben Simmons that they're dealing with. And now, it's hard to win a championship when you got a max slot not even moving in there, and I think that you'd be kind of naive to not say that he contributed a little bit to this situation, and a better leader could have avoided that. But that being said, on the basketball court, doesn't matter who you put against him. He crushes everybody. It doesn't matter how good a defender you are. I still think Embiid has a big night. But like I said, on the conditioning, this Sixers team fades in the fourth quarter, man. If they're up double digits in the fourth and you can grab like a +10 and it's only 12 minutes to go, I would usually do it. This team is terrible in the fourth quarter. And I think Utah is the team to take advantage of that. This was a tough one for me on the model because Utah consistently blows people out. And then Philadelphia's numbers are all messed up from when that time is out, right? So if I throw all those games out, now I'm down to like a 12 or 13 game sample size, which is okay. But I don't trust it as much. And the other thing I noticed, they're still not winning by margin, even with all these players back. They still, even last, right, they didn't cover both against Charlotte, right? They got the wins, and that's great because that's what's most important. But they're not covering these spreads. Utah doesn't mess around. They win by double digits quite often. I like the Jazz here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't understand this line. I don't get it personally. I mean, Utah's the way better team.
Right.
I understand that Philly's at home, but this is Philly's third game. You're talking about Embiid's conditioning always being a little concerned. This is their third game in 4 nights. They played Charlotte twice this week, and Charlotte took them to overtime in one of those games and then lost by 4 in the other. And they were missing literally half their team. They're like, this Philly team is not a good basketball team right now. And I think that a lot of it has to do with that peak in time where they had a lot of guys just in and out of the lineup, right? Spread. Tobias Harris was in and out of the lineup. Tyrese Maxey was starting, not starting, starting again. Like, he was kind of like, what are we doing with him a little bit? They had Shake Milton back and forth for a time period. Joel Embiid, obviously. A lot of guys that they're trying to work back in chemistry. Danny Green was in and out of the lineup. These are guys that play key roles for this team, and I don't think chemistry-wise they're all there. I think right now they're kind of just throwing it on Embiid, maybe a little Harris too, and just saying, like, get us some wins, right? Just it doesn't have to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, but we got to get in sync with each other, and right now we're not. So you got to really rely on those key guys to get you there. I mean, against that Charlotte team, there's no reason why they should have been taken to overtime. I'm sorry, but team loses half the guys.
Right.
I mean, you should not be going to overtime with that team, especially when you have all your guys outside of Ben Simmons, really. And they did. That game, they had pretty much all their guys, right? They had missed Tyrese Maxey in that overtime game, I guess. So he was one guy out. But still, you had Embiid, you had Harris, you had enough. And I just think Utah is a really good team. Just very, very good team, especially in the regular season. I think Utah wins by double digits here, and I'm going to go with it. I don't like Sixers here. I get 3 points. That's it. I'm comfortable taking the Jazz.
All right. Well, I'm glad you agree with me. I wrote this one up a little bit last night, a little bit more this morning. And it is tough going against the Sixers at home. I think these are two teams that play much better. But, it's funny. So I'm writing about it, and I'm, about to say, hey, well, the Jazz's point differential is a lot lower on the road, and their home kind of pumps it up when you're looking at it overall. And that was true the last couple of seasons. This year, it's not. It's about 10 at home and on the road. To be granted, right, they just won by 30 last night in Minnesota, and I put that number in, when I was calculating it, right? So the 30-point win obviously helped it a little bit, on a sample of only, I think it's 12 games or 13 games. But still, this Utah team's been better on the road, and I agree with you here. I saw a tweet yesterday, and that's why I like doing this show with you, JSU, with the smaller slates. So we can just get into a little bit of basketball talk. I can't remember who it was. Really respected guy. I think it was a writer for The Athletic. And he was basically just saying if Daryl Morey tries to really pull this bluff for the whole season, playing chicken with Simmons, and doesn't trade him and just really has him sit out and waste that max slot, that's organizational malpractice with the idea that Embiid's going to have a much shorter prime, right, than a guy like Steph Curry or Luka or someone that's not as injury prone. Would you agree? And are you surprised that this is taking so long?
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy on both sides because there are teams that will actually give up decent players for Ben Simmons. I think that's crazy. And
yeah, we know that.
I think that it's crazy that Daryl Morey isn't jumping at the first or second team that gives him a halfway decent starter who can play along with Embiid. What are you doing? Like, you're not going to get what you want, Daryl Morey. All right. It's not going to happen. You're not getting he's not getting Kevin Durant type player.
Yeah, he's not getting Damian Lillard. Let's just throw that out.
He's not getting those guys. Yeah. He's not. But could you get two players that could help your team win? Yes, you could. As crazy as that is in my head to think that a team could give them two good young players, that they could get them.
Yeah.
I'd be jumping right now, Spread. If they offered me, I know CJ just got hurt, but if they offered me a CJ McCollum, I would jump at it. I would just jump at it. And I'm not the biggest CJ McCollum fan. I think he's a good basketball player. I don't think he's a great defender, but I think he can score. He can score in bunches too. And, that would take a little pressure off Joel Embiid to have a guy on the outside that can play a two-man game with him and just take it and isolate and go at someone and give Embiid a break at times. So I don't know what they're thinking. If you gave me De'Aaron Fox, I would jump at it. If you gave me Tyrese Halliburton,
we wouldn't have done that.
I would jump at it.
But we're ready to do the Fox for Simmons deal now in Sacramento. Before the season, we're no. But I mean, he's
I would jump if I was the Sixers. I would literally do a backflip if I got De'Aaron Fox for Ben Simmons. Yeah. De'Aaron Fox can help you right now. Ben Simmons is not helping you ever again. He's done. Exactly. He's not playing. He doesn't want to be there. You probably don't want him there, but you want fair compensation. The problem is, and Spread, I told people this last year. I said, just wait, because once people realize Ben Simmons is not a good all-around basketball player and he's not worth what they think he is because they thought he was a star. Mm-hmm. And now it's going to bite him in the ass that they could have traded him last year for whatever they really Spread. They could have traded him for an all-star. A superstar.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now they're screwed because not only can they not get a superstar, they might not even get an all-star. That's what you're worried about right now. You went from, okay, Ben could get me a superstar. He could get me James. To now it's he could get me De'Aaron Fox, who's maybe an all-star. Maybe he makes the
He's
all-star
like a fringe.
team.
He's like right below it,
Yeah.
right? He's like
Yeah,
the guy
but,
we
like, you
complain he
don't
got
know, like,
snubbed, but there's no one to take out.
right, but it's like you don't know. Like maybe if he plays 15 years, he can make the All-Star team 3 or 4 years if he has like a really, really good year. You know what I mean? But that's my point, and I was trying to make people understand that in the NBA you need to be able to play both sides of the ball, but you really need to be able to play offense to be a superstar worthy. You can't just be playing defense and be afraid to shoot the basketball. That is not going to work in this day and age. It's not going to work.
Not at that salary slot.
No,
I mean, Tony
teams
Allen
are going to
worked
figure
at
it out.
$5 million a year.
Yeah,
it's not going to work as a
give
max
me
player,
Tony
right?
Allen any day of the
Right.
year at friggin' that price, but you can't pay Tony Allen, $100 million. You just can't do it. Look at Marcus Smart and the Celtics. I think Marcus Smart is a very, very good role player. Does he deserve that contract spread?
No.
Marcus Smart.
No, really.
He does not. He does not. And I love Marcus Smart. I think he does so many things really well. But in this day and age of the NBA, you just can't pay those type of guys that much money. You can't do it.
I'm glad you brought up the Celtics because I think we're getting into an issue here, right? And this is basic economics, opportunity cost. Every second you wait, right, you're missing opportunities. And I just feel like the Celtics, I felt did the same thing, right? When they had all those assets, and I think Danny Ainge was overvalued. And remember the jokes that Danny Ainge wouldn't give up like Terry Rozier, right? And all those trades, because Danny wouldn't include Rozier. Like, you got to be kidding me. At some point, you have to stop overvaluing your own players. And I feel that's what Daryl Morey's doing here, right? It's like he's got a Honda Accord and he thinks it's a Corvette.
Yeah, Danny Ainge was playing that game for years with those Celtics picks, with those Celtics players, and it screwed Boston. It really did. It screwed them. They had all this like gold, right? And it was like they had this gold. It was just a chest full of gold, right? No one really knew because it was like picks, but like, and they got players, and it's like at one point they're just going to unload all of it and get like you said, like a Paul George, James Harden, Kevin Durant, like some type of superstar. And he just held it. He just held it. And yeah, did some stuff come good of it? Yes. But he just fucking held on to it and just teased Celtics fans for years about possible this trade or getting this guy. And he never did. It fucked the franchise up, in my opinion. It screwed him up.
I mean, not too much economics, but it's almost like just having your money in the bank. Like I said, compared to the cost of inflation, the amount of interest you're getting, you're actually losing money. Like, it needs to work, and you need to do it now. You have to be proactive. So, all right, that was kind of a fun little detour there.
Tyler said Gobert. Tyler said Gobert has 0 offensive game and got $200 million. Tyler, we're on the same page here, my brother, because in this day and age, I also don't think center is an overvalued position, in my opinion, unless you're talking about a Nikola Jokic, who's really not a center. The dude is a point guard at 7 feet tall. So he's just completely different. Joel Embiid is like one of the most dominating centers in a really long time. We're talking about like,
those are the only two worth money. The only two that you spend on.
That's my point, spread. Because the other thing is they can play inside and out. And in this type of NBA, if you don't have a center that can play outside and inside, that's not good. The Shaqs, unless you're that type of size, they don't work in this style anymore. Rudy Gobert is in a league where he's good at what he's good at, and that's defense for sure. That's rebounding for sure. But he, in the end, you can't win with Rudy Gobert being your number 1 guy or number 2 guy. I don't think you can win a championship with, personally.
Yeah, and the Jazz are going to do their best to find out. But I think
you need definitely one superstar, maybe another one ahead of him to win a championship, unless you just get a perfect run where guys go down, kind of like Milwaukee did.
Yeah.
Oops, did I say that out loud? But
hey, it's
I'm just saying. I'm just saying the truth. Like
Yeah.
they don't win the championship if all those Brooklyn guys don't get hurt. If Brooklyn's healthy, they lose to Brooklyn. That's the truth. People can say what they want, but it's just the truth. And you should even Title, who's the biggest homer. You bet Milwaukee, and you love Milwaukee, and you were right in the end. You still were right, and I gave you credit for being right. But you couldn't tell me that Milwaukee didn't run as good as possible.
There was some luck involved. They were running pure, as we would say, right?
They were better, though, than the Suns spread. I'll give you that. Because you said that. I was on the Suns side. I was wrong. They were better than the Suns. They were better than the Hawks. But they ran freaking pure in that Brooklyn series. Let me tell you right now, because one of those stars doesn't get hurt, and they have 2 of 3 stars for the entire 7 games, they win that series.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And you talked about centers, and we were also surprised in Sacramento when Rashawn Holmes re-signed. But I think all the GMs are catching on to what you said. I need a $5 million a year or $7 million a year center, like almost like my running back. And then I just need to load my roster with versatile wings, right? And give my coach so many options to mix and match and play chess, because a lot of these centers just aren't worth it. So, it was cool for us to get a fan favorite back. But from what I read, he didn't have much of a market, which really surprised me. I thought he was really going to get a lot. So I think GMs are catching on to what you were saying.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And Ben Simmons, the way his offensive game is, the dude needs to be a center. Yeah. The dude needs to be a center.
And in the new NBA, he can. It's just a bad fit with Embiid, right? Like
exactly.
Even if we did the Fox for Simmons, he can come out here and run the 5 for us.
Let me tell you right now, if you could feed Ben Simmons in the post and let him create from the post, right, I think he could be a really good player, because he doesn't have to always get his offense. He could, from the post, create offense for others easy by guys cutting and diving and just like moving without the basketball. He could get guys involved that way. But when you have a big center on the team, you can't use him in that capacity. And that leads him to being on the outside, where if teams know he's not going to shoot, they're just going to sag off of him. And in the regular season, he'll still get buckets because he'll still be able to get to the rim. But when postseason comes and they all start friggin' collapsing, they all start playing better defense and saying, this is what the guy wants to do, we're going to force him to do what he doesn't want to do, you get what happened last year.
And I think that you're right. The Bucks did get lucky. But here's one other thing that happened that Ben needs to watch. Giannis realized, I'm not a guard. And he started posting up. And, he worked on the jump shot, and credit to him for not being scared. But the reality, when he was really effective in that series, is when he went down low and started working against the smaller players and said, I'm 7 foot. You got to put a big guy out here. And then if you actually put a big guy on him that could stop him in the post, he can go around and play the guard move. But he wasn't stubborn and started working down low. And that's when he was dropping 50, right? He had a lot of pace, points in the paint there when he was really going.
You want to know the difference between Giannis and Ben Simmons on a serious note, just like a mental difference? Look at what Ben Simmons did when he was afraid to go to the foul line.
Yeah.
He was literally trying to not get fouled or shoot the ball because he didn't want to go to the foul line. He didn't want to miss a shot. What did Giannis do when he missed all those free throws? What did he keep doing, Spread?
Kept going to the rim.
He kept going to the rim.
Like playing it up. Like it was almost like when they were counting, he would make sure they got to 10 to kind of just play it up. Like,
My point is, though,
I'm not afraid.
He wasn't afraid to say, you know what? This is how I got to win the game. If they're going to put me on the line 20 times, well, I'm just going to keep going there. And if I miss them, I miss them. And if I make them, great. And I'm just going to take my chances this way. And that was the best thing that he did, in my opinion. I think it was the biggest growth in Giannis, the player, was he showed that he was unafraid. Count to 10 seconds. Do what you want. I'm still going to get there, and I'm still going to try and dominate down low. I thought that was the biggest reason the Bucks won the championship, was Giannis showed everyone that, I'm going to miss free throws sometimes, but I'm going to keep going no matter what I do, no matter what the outcome is. I'm not changing my game or being afraid to play my game because of free throws.
Exactly.
That's
and
the truth.
Just a general life lesson there, right? The people who are most successful are not afraid to fail. and embrace failure and are willing to wear it on the chin. The people who are afraid to fail end up never doing anything. And that's what I think we kind of saw there. So we took a little detour. We both like the Jazz. I'm staying away from
the point of this show. If you don't like the detours, you're definitely not watching anyways.
Yeah, right. So especially when you and I are in here, and that's why I think it was cool to have you on these Thursdays where, like, yesterday Hoop and I were like, channeling our inner 1.5 podcast, to do 13 games. And
that's usually Mangone. I'm surprised it was Hoop. Usually that's Mangone.
Well, Mangone will talk for a long. Mangone's got good on Tuesday because we'll do these detours too. But this is a lot of fun that we're able to do that. So we both like Utah here. I built a little lineup using the heat map earlier, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I want to build another one now. Who are you looking at in this game when you're building your lineup tonight?
Yeah, cheaper guys. For sure. So guys that are going to get minutes that are not that expensive. I'm not as much into the studs, even though I could on this 3-game slate play a Donovan Mitchell. But I think I'm going to go more the cheap route. Just a couple guys off the top of my head that I'll look at. Forward is not great on this slate. So guys that are valuable, I think anyways, for tournaments, guys like Royce O'Neal, really cheap, can get you what you need at the price tag. Rudy Gay, another guy who's he's getting like around that 20-minute mark. And if you give me 20 minutes for Rudy Gay, he's still capable of giving me 20 or 25 at his price tag. Outside of that, I think Bogdanovich is okay at 5.3. More like price plays those spread. These aren't guys I'm trying to jam in, right? They're guys that kind of like fit at their price tags. I think this is a clear game where I don't want to overload myself with the spend ups. I want to get the value. Joe Ingles at 3.9. I know no one's out, but Joe Ingles still sees in like the mid 20s in minutes, and he's 3,900. So again, at that price tag, Joe Ingles can get me 25, and that's what I'm looking for. Some cheap value, unless we get like some crazy news, right? Unless we get some crazy news that like a few starters are out for a team.
Denver's the one I'm worried about there. I'm worried that Denver sits Jokic, and then your lineup just goes all Nuggets.
Really? You think he sits tonight?
No. Well, no, he's not even on the report. It was just something I thought.
What's the spread in that game? We haven't gotten to that game yet.
Yeah, it's 1.5. We'll get there in a second. I don't see him on the report, so maybe I'm wrong. They just he played a lot of minutes last night in that overtime loss.
Do you think the spread's wrong? Spread? Like I see 2.5 right now.
I see 2 on Bookmaker.
Do you think that's right for Jokic being? You think there's something fishy? in that? I think. What do you think?
It seems Jokic is in at +2, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
I would think it would be like +6 if he sits.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, that line would move.
I'd say he's worth 4 points right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think he's in right now. You see 2, I see 2.5 on DraftKings. This game's in San Antonio. The Spurs have gotten no love from Vegas the last like week and a half. By the way, +165 dog last time I was on this show. Gave you the Spurs outright. Don't forget it. Gave you the winners. Actually, the last like couple weeks, we've been dropping winners on the Thursday show. So that was just a nice little nugget. I hope people hit because that was an easy bet. They were playing like Portland or something like that and getting no respect. Portland's terrible. So, I mean, it seems like I think he plays. You think?
Yeah, more than I'm looking at it, and no crazy line move. It was just something I thought this morning, like if there's any guy that could really just, because I'm building the lineup using AP heat map. If you're a member of Run Pure Sports, make sure you're checking out the heat map. It's a great tool to start the day, and I love to use it before I come on with you guys, so I feel a little more knowledgeable when I'm talking to you. But I was thinking, what could be the one piece of news that just upsets everything here, And of course, the Lakers are always in play, but I don't know, like those probable tags to me just mean in, like. When I see Davis and LeBron as probable. So actually,
I worry with guys if they get downgraded during the day.
Okay.
So if they're like fine, and then all of a sudden they throw a tag on them, or they're probable and they get downgraded to questionable during the day. That's when I go like, hold on, that's not good if they're getting downgraded during that, because that means they like went through shoot around or they couldn't go through shoot around because of whatever was ailing them. So that's kind of when I start to get worried. But we're hitting that time where we would normally get we would have normally already got Nikola Jokic didn't go through shoot around or whatever. He's questioned. I don't think we're getting that. So I think he's going to play personally.
Well, that'd be great news for us, because then a lot of the stuff that we give out here, I'll be able to just write these lineups and I don't have to change them.
That's a good example. PG-13 yesterday is a perfect example of when he got ruled questionable later in the day, later in the evening, whatever it was. That's when I was like, okay, you should be worried about PG-13 when he's getting questionable like that. That means that he didn't feel good, whatever it is, and you got to be cautious and stuff like that. So that's just tidbits. Like, that's how I look at like the DFS and these injuries and stuff like that. You should really be focusing on who is getting added to the injury report during the day.
Yeah,
if they're getting added to the injury report like the day before or 2 days, like that's fine. That I'm not as worried about that type of stuff as the day of, like in that like afternoon to night period. That's where you should be like, that's not good.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Lakers game. And of course, we are waiting on the news. But like I said, whenever I see Davis and LeBron probable, I mean, is there a night they haven't been probable? I mean, they're on this list every single day when I pull it up. I mean, it's almost like they put them on the list even when the Lakers are off. It's like they're probable to just hang out.
It's like automatic. They're just automatically on, and they're it's like they always have a chance to just say like, I'm not feeling great today, I'm going to sit. Did you see Charles Barkley's comments on Anthony Davis?
No, what did he say? All,
I love, if you don't watch like Inside the NBA, that's like my favorite show. I love the TNT nights because I just love to listen to Charles. I just love that he can say whatever he wants.
Exactly.
Personally, I wish it was more on TV where guys could just get on there and just say whatever the heck they want and not have to worry about anything happening to them. Like they're never going to fire Charles Barkley. And he knows that. He can say anything he wants. He's got all he can say anything. He doesn't have to worry. And I love that about Inside the NBA. I think all those guys kind of have that range to just speak how they truly feel. And Charles does it on a nightly basis. So I love listening to it. But he goes, first of all, I just want to say I love Anthony Davis, but it kills me that they're talking about firing Frank Vogel when really and truly it's not his fault that they signed a bunch of old geezers or whatever he said. And then he goes, Anthony Davis, I love you, and I think you're a great basketball player, but this is your fault. You got to play better. You haven't played like a superstar, like a KD Harden level thing. And I just, after I was like, I can't disagree with the fact that they signed a bunch of old guys and Anthony Davis
to placate him.
And Anthony Davis
because Davis doesn't want to play center. DeAndre Jordan shouldn't be on an NBA roster. He would struggle to get G League minutes. Let's be honest. I mean, he's absolutely terrible and washed. Like, he has the same lateral quickness as me, and I'm 45 years old. I mean, how is he on there? Dwight Howard should only be playing in emergencies. I mean, it's just terrible.
The problem is, like you said, he doesn't want to play center. And the issue is their best lineup is when he plays center. It just has to be because you want more shooters on the floor with LeBron when you have Russ, especially.
Right.
That's the other thing. And if you play Russ in a center, it just doesn't work well with LeBron. LeBron probably hates it. AD wants it because he doesn't want to bang down low. He wants Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan to have to bang with, Embiid and Rudy Gobert and all these big centers that he has to play and deal with, and he doesn't want to do it. But to win, they're going to have to just be like, dude, you're going to have to suck it up. Like, you're going to have to deal with it.
And what's so crazy about LeBron, right? The guy on court has the best basketball IQ I've seen since Magic Johnson, right? And I'm old, so I'll say Magic's was a little better, right? But still, I'm talking about just knowing when to speed up, knowing when to slow down, knowing when to feed the right guys, knowing when to take over.
You'd get thrown in jail by the LeBron lovers. They'd be throwing you in jail right now.
I probably will. We'll get a bunch of thumbs down if your YouTube can still do that. But my point is, right, so on court, right, Savant, I'd say definitely he has the highest basketball IQ of any current player. How is it so high there, but then so low when it comes to roster construction? Like, how can you be so brilliant on the court and then when your GM, because it's not like this didn't go through him, when your GM says, hey, we got a deal for Russ, who's ball dominant and can't shoot, or we could grab Buddy Hield, who will just sit out there and you can feed him and all he's going to do is shoot 40% from behind the arc. That's the only thing he's going to contribute, right? But he doesn't need the ball at all. He's not going to dribble. Yeah. He's just going to be, a 40% guy that you can pop it to when they double you. I don't understand how he chooses Westbrook. It's just so crazy. And in Cleveland, too, it's just some of the moves that he made, using all that cap space on Tristan Thompson, right? It's just weird that
was like his friend, though, and he wanted to get him paid. He did that for a few of his, boys. You know what I mean? Like his troop, J.R. Smith. I mean, come on. Like, the money he got was insane. I mean, the guy didn't even know where he was on the court half the time. Like, he didn't know if he was playing offense or defense half the time. He was just out there running around, chucking up shots. But I want to say, the Russell Westbrook signing has never made sense to me, so I agree with you there. LeBron is probably the smartest basketball player on the floor. Maybe him and Rajon. They might have the two smartest basketball players on their team in Rajon Rondo and LeBron James from an IQ standpoint. Just put them on the court and they can make plays. They can get everyone involved. They know where everyone should be. It's like having two coaches on your team that are in the game at times. And then you have Frank Vogel and all the assistant coaches. So they've got two extra coaches on their team. And the one thing I'll say is maybe LeBron thought Russ, with how high energy he is, he could kind of be like the guy who's just running and gunning and pushing the ball and getting in transition, and where LeBron doesn't have to do it as much because as he gets older, we know when he got to the Lakers, he stopped kind of pushing the ball as much as he used to and started playing a lot more in the half court, right, Spread? Right. That's why those Lakers games really slowed down a ton because LeBron was pounding the air out of the ball, bleeding the shot clock, and getting good shots for people. But it was really just he wanted to play slow. He didn't want to have to run and gun with all the young guys. And maybe Russ was okay, maybe if Russ is here, he can do more of the running and stuff like that. And then I can still create for everyone. But it just hasn't worked out yet. I will say you can't throw it away yet. Russ could still figure it out. We got time.
Yeah. I want to talk about what Josh Gilham's saying in the chat. He says, Buddy's struggling to find minutes with the Kings, though. He would have went Westbrook. If Schroeder resigned, I think they trade for a point guard, but they needed a point guard bad without Schroeder. And just here would be my response. If you got Buddy, you're not giving up all three of them. So you're only giving up Kuzma. The deal was Kuzma for Buddy. So now you still have Pope and Harrell. Pope still fit in on that team. That's a loss. I agree. Harrell didn't fit on that team, but now you have a separate piece to trade. So it's not like your choices were just Russ or just Buddy. Because, it's tough to say that. But I'm just saying you could have got more in the package. You could use Buddy and then use either both those players or just maybe Harrell to get
Let's
another
be honest, though. Wait a second. Let's not go. Harrell didn't not work. Frank Vogel hated Harrell. He literally despised him. He thought he was awful on defense, and he didn't.
And Frank it's weird because he looks good in Washington on defense.
Because he's actually good. I don't know. I think Frank Vogel is a good coach. I actually do think he's
a good coach. Can make one mistake, right? Or
but
8 mistakes.
I don't understand what he was watching with Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell is a good basketball. He's been a good basketball player everywhere he's went. He's an undersized center who works his ass off at both ends of the floor to get his shots, to rebound, to energize the team.
Exactly. He gives you a little toughness.
Look what he's doing in Washington.
Yeah.
In limited minutes too, may I add. They play him 22 to 25 minutes. It's almost criminal because he's way better than Gafford, but they paid Gafford all this money. But Montrezl Harrell outplays him by literally 2x outplays him every single night in the stat categories. And if you just watch them play, they're way better when Harrell's on the floor.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So it is a long way.
We the People says, I kind of like this. It's going to work. People have so many takes, 20 plus games in. I agree. I agree that 20 plus games in, you can't just be like, oh, Russ, who's a great player, isn't going to figure it out. Like, you got to give these guys time. Like, they need time to all gel and play together. And I think that's kind of what we the People are saying is like 20 plus games in, how can you say like something's not going to work? You're not even giving it a chance to for them to like be able to figure it out. You know what I mean? It takes, look at those Miami Heat teams. It took them a little while to figure out, and that was 3 really good players. And it took them a little while to figure it out. There are a lot of really good teams where it took the stars time to just figure out how to gel with each other because they weren't used to it. And remember, Russ has been used to kind of doing everything on his own. Yeah, he had Bradley Beal in Washington, and he had the OKC teams, but that was before everyone was like a superstar outside of KD. Yeah, so like that was different. But like since then, Russ has been used to playing for years where it's like him and then everyone else is down here, so he has to play, 3 times as good for his team to win. And now he's just got to figure out how to play within the confines of the offense to get LeBron James good looks, to get himself good looks, and AD. And it doesn't always mean him just taking the ball and running with it. He's got to get better in the half court. That's something that Russ probably openly would even say, like, sometimes I struggle in the half court at times, and I got to get better with it. But he's best when he's in transition, and LeBron is older now, so he doesn't want to play in transition. This is where the contrast messes with these two guys, I think, and they need to figure it out. It's really them two that need to say, okay, Russ, you got to adapt to the half court and you got to just get better at this. Or LeBron, you got to find a way to run with me, man, and let's just friggin' run, and let's like be throwing lobs like you were doing in Miami with D Wade.
The only difference in Miami is, I'm trying to go off the top of my head. LeBron would have been 27 at that point.
Yeah.
Now he's 36. He'll turn 37.
Man, he still looks in friggin' phenomenal shape.
How many more years? Okay, so you guys know I'm not a fan, right, of LeBron. I'll be happy the day he retires. Give him his respect. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. Yep. I'll be fine watching the NBA once he moves on. And I'm watching. I'm like, this could be like a Brady thing all over again. I mean, this could be like another 7 years the way he looks.
Yeah, I mean, I think this dude could play until he feels like I don't got it anymore.
Yeah.
And who knows when that is.
I thought it would have already happened. I didn't think he was going to be this good at 37. So
it's amazing what he's doing for how many miles that dude has on his body. I mean, think about how many championship runs he's went on and how long he's went into the playoffs, multiple years in a row. Yeah. The guy has just got so much tread on those tires. And I mean, again, though, that's where the slowing down, the pace, and him not running as much, it's definitely helped him in some aspects, probably. But he is starting to get nicked up, right, Spread? The last couple of years, he started to pick up some injuries where before, I'm telling you, before, LeBron was like a robot. That dude would he never
sprained his ankle, and you think he'd be out for like a month, and he was out for like a quarter.
He was literally out for like 2 minutes. Yeah. I still remember the game in Boston where he was getting heckled like none other. And he sprained his ankle. And I hate this about fans. They cheered. Which is awful. Like when a guy gets hurt, you should never cheer. Like that's the most ridiculous thing in my eyes. These are professional athletes. I'm not a big fan of LeBron either. I would never root on someone getting hurt though. Like ever in my life. I just would never do it. Even some guy on the court with me who was dominating me, I would never be like happy he got injured. And they were cheering. LeBron was out for literally 30 seconds. He got right back to this, and it looked like he was done. Looked like he was done. Like his teammates he was on like his teammates' shoulders, that was limping on one foot, goes back to the bench. Everyone's cheering. 30 seconds later, he gets back up, goes to the scorer's table, and I'm like, this is insane. And he ended up putting it on the Celtics and I forget what he ended up scoring, but he ended up having a ridiculous game, of course. His team came back and won, and I was like, that was ridiculous, unbelievable that I just watched that. The dude looked like he was done for a month.
Yeah, I definitely root against them, but I acknowledge, the greatness that I've seen. And I just want to talk more about, yes, it might work, right? But here's the gamble they took. They're playing LeBron. We talked about how old he is. Him and AD are racking up 38 and 39 minutes a night to get home wins against the Grizzlies on a back-to-back, right? And their championship or bust, pretty much, right? Because Lakers fans aren't going to be happy with the second-round exit. Like in Sacramento, we give them a parade for a second-round exit, right? But Lakers fans are not going to be happy. You're running 40 minutes in November just to get wins over these, average teams. I think that I worry about they're putting so much pressure just to stay to 500 right now. I wonder if eventually there is a breakdown and they suffer towards the end of the year. So that's the other thing I worry about when you add in, Russ, and you're like, okay, well, we're going to make it work. Like, do you really have time to make it work to win a championship this season?
We'll find out, I guess, right?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was a pretty big intro. This is turning into more of a podcast than a rundown, but I'm having a great time, and I hope everyone watching is too. The line is Lakers -3.5. The Memphis Grizzlies are at home +3.5. The Grizzlies, I was on them last night. They had a 5-game winning streak going into the game against the Mavericks, but Luka was too much. And they're, hey, I'm not the best at diagnosing injuries because I thought that he was limping around the night before or the last time I saw him. And I was like, oh, he probably won't play again. And he got out there and he was able to get it done. A little disappointing for Memphis. So really the question becomes, so they won 5 in a row without Ja. Is this the time where it kind of like sets in that, hey, like we're not really that good without him? Or is that just a hiccup? And do they come back fired up tonight? Because did you see that game, JSU? So I didn't see all of it. I had a family dinner last night, but came back and I was trying to catch up last night and this morning. That was a chippy game. There was a ton of technicals. Dylan Brooks got ejected towards the end. And in the little recap I watched, it showed his quote where he was like pissed at the officials. So I feel like taking Memphis here, I'm in a good spot. I think that they're really going to be fired up to play tonight. The Lakers have much more talent. I think this is a tough game to cap. I do lean the Grizzlies here, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, remember these young teams too, they love to play against like the stars,
exactly.
Especially like the older stars. Like you don't think that Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks, Tyus Jones, all these guys are going to get up to play LeBron James and Anthony. I mean, they're going to get fired up. And the one thing about this Memphis team, they're gritty, man. They are a gritty team. I think they're deep too. They got some good players that come off the bench. Anthony Melton is a really good player who comes off the bench. They're just a solid team that I think can give the Lakers, everything they can handle. I mean, you look at this line and you're like 3.5 when the Lakers are fully healthy. They should be able to win this game, but Memphis has been a really tough team. And I think if I had to lean aside, I would lean Memphis with you. Just for what I've seen with my eyes is, Memphis has played really well. They play good team basketball too. It's not just one guy, it's a very good team basketball when Ja is out, especially, and they work well together. So yeah, I think I would lean Memphis. It's not my favorite play on the slate, but I would lean the Memphis side.
So I got to ask you about this too, right? So there's short slate. A lot of times those big money groups that move lines sit these games out, right? Yeah. And I've heard a couple because we'll ask, hey, are these guys on anything tonight? No, they're not on anything tonight. I don't know who's doing it. Someone's moved this total 6 points up. It was around 218, last night projected. It's 224 now. It was 220 when I was working, writing about this game this morning, at 6, 7 a.m. on the West Coast. Where do you think all this over love is coming from? Because people are betting this over left and right, and that's not $20 bets either.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. I don't understand it. I didn't even see that. So I definitely wouldn't bet the over. Like,
yeah,
not now.
People got it at 218. Okay, yeah, I'm not suggesting that we bet it. I'm just trying to figure out the line move. Usually when I see line moves, I can figure it out.
From a pace perspective, though, spread, these are two teams in the top like 12 in pace, right now. But still, I don't. I don't know if I would. I wouldn't touch the total here personally.
Yeah, I was just surprised by that because every other line stabilized, just moved like a point on the total.
That's
and
a
on the
big
side,
move.
Right? Yeah, that's like the biggest move. So really surprised by that. Now, so we've talked about the side, we've talked about the total. I'm trying to build this lineup with you. You gave me a little bit of value out of the last game. What are we looking at when we're building out of this game?
Yeah, a couple of players that are playing really well. Desmond Bain has been playing out of his mind. Mm-hmm. He is now priced correctly though. But if you need someone in that range, I do think you could look to him on a 3-game slate. I really like the guards though. DeAnthony Melton and Tyus Jones for Memphis. Those are two of my favorite Memphis plays. I think both guys are really solid. Steven Adams is still somewhat cheap. You could look there. And then the Lakers, it's kind of like the studs or bust spread. But the problem with these studs is you're paying all this money and they kind of equal each other out when it comes to their ceiling performances because all three of them together, it just feels like they all put up like 50 and not one of them is going to give you that 65 plus point fantasy game that you want when you pay the price tag for them. I will say though, like you are going to get lower ownership on some of these guys. And if I had to pick one, I guess it would be LeBron would be my favorite.
Interesting. I thought you were going to go Russ. Why LeBron?
Yeah, I just think LeBron takes so much away from Russ from a fantasy side that I probably won't go Russ. And LeBron, like at certain times, can still put it on his shoulders in a close game. And we both kind of like Memphis. And if we like Memphis, we think this game could be still close, right? If we're liking Memphis here. So in a close game, yeah, I'm gonna take the guy. I'm gonna take LeBron in the close game. Who knows though? It could be Anthony Davis. I mean, he got called out by Charles Barkley on national television saying it's his fault.
What do you think of this matchup though, right? So they can go Jackson when he tries to play shooting guard and they can bring Adams in if he wants to bang down low. I think they can kind of take Davis away.
It's not a great match. I don't love the matchup for AD. But again, AD is good enough. Like, this is what I don't get about AD is AD should honestly be matchup proof. Like, he's that good. He fades in certain spots. I don't really understand it. LeBron is the guy who, like, he'll take the ball and just go right, just say, give me the ball and like get out. He's the guy who I would have the most confidence in if I was to pay up for one of these guys. But again, it's not something that I'm trying to do. If it fits and it works, I would look to LeBron first.
All right, let's talk about the Denver Nuggets, who are +2 heading to San Antonio to take on the Spurs. Spurs -2, total 215.5. I think this is a tough spot for the Nuggets. If this is definitely like an I don't know, I want to say like pro NBA capper game, but experienced NBA capper game. Because let's say you just randomly, you don't bet the NBA every night. You just pull up the lines. I want to get some action tonight, right? You're like, oh, Denver, right? I'm getting +2 with Denver. They're way better than San Antonio. And yes, they are. But Denver's coming off an overtime game in New Orleans last night. San Antonio played at home. Denver's beat up. So they had to play their guys a lot of minutes there. And if they want to even dial back the minutes, they can't even really do it. Like what are they going to do to try and rest some of these guys, so they're going to have to play Jokic and Barton, these guys, big minutes again tonight. San Antonio played last night, but they didn't go to overtime. And they also have more depth and played their guys way less minutes because they're more healthy. Their rotation is thicker. Like, as far as I know, right, they're only missing Keldon Johnson and they absorb him pretty easily.
Possibly
right,
Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell could be out too. So,
okay. So anyways, what do you think of this game? It's so hard for me here because you see Nuggets Spurs, and normally I would take, the Nuggets up to -5. I think that, they're a legitimate, at least Western Conference contender, and the Spurs are really, on the verge of the lottery playing, like right around there, like, high lottery pick or playing team at this year. But because of the situation, I like the Spurs here. What are your thoughts?
Interesting. So these are two of the teams. I do really like both these teams. I think the Spurs are they don't get enough respect, in my opinion. They're well coached. They've got a good young core of players, and they're deep. too. Like you said, they are deep. Now, losing Keldon Johnson doesn't help a ton. Devin Vassell, I think, is a really good young player. I really do think he could eventually turn into one of those just elite 3-and-D guys.
See what people says about Vassell?
Yes, he did go through shoot around, which is an upgrade because he was kind of, I think he was kind of listed almost like doubtful, and then he went through shoot around, which was a surprise. So they said he's going to be a game time decision. So that's something you just got to kind of wait on. He's up to probable
now.
So that's good. That means that the upgrade during the day means that it's probably good news for him that he's going to play, which helps them because losing Keldon's very versatile for them. He can play the 3-4, and those guys are key. Now, if Vassell's there, he can obviously play that like 3-4 as well. So I think, though, I'm leaning Denver if Jokic plays. My issue is I get Denver as a dog, and I don't see how the Spurs have just an answer for Jokic. Jokic he gets those Nuggets guys too many good looks, and they that's why they run everything through Jokic, and he's overpowering. He's too tough to deal with. So I can get Denver as a dog, even though they played last night. So the Spurs, give me Denver. Wait, did the Spurs play Tuesday or did they play last night too?
I thought the Spurs played last night too. I don't think they played Tuesday. Let me double check.
Did they play the Knicks this week?
Let me double check right now. I'll have to pull that up real quick. While I do that, why don't you just talk about who you're looking for in a lineup, and I'm gonna double check. There's so many games last night.
Yeah, they didn't play last night. They played on Tuesday. They played the Knicks.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they played the Knicks on Tuesday. And Denver's coming off the game last night, obviously, but I'm still going to lean Denver here. I think Denver getting them as a dog plus 2.5. Give me that. I'll take my chances, but definitely the respect on the Spurs side. I do think I get why they're favored in this spot for sure, because they've been playing really well.
All right. How are we looking at making this lineup? Because I thought there was some value in this game, and I was using AP's heat map, and there was just a bunch of good options like in the value range. Are you interested in these as well, or maybe am I looking in the wrong area?
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta be interested in the studs in this game. I'm a big DeJounte guy. I think we all know that by now. Love DeJounte. Kid's just a complete stud, and Pop is just every year he grows and he's better and better every year, it seems. And this year is the same, just even better. And then you obviously get Jokic on the other end, and then the Spurs have other guys too. They've got the Podals, the Derek Whites, the guys in the mid-range. And I really want to see who they end up starting, if they start like Keita Bates-Diop for Keldon Johnson, or who they roll with in the starting lineup. But I do think there's some value in some of these guys like Devin Vassell, if he's a full go. Mm-hmm. I like him. So I think there's ways to go in this game where you could go some value and some mid-range or stars. It's just depending on your lineup build, but definitely.
So do you have it pulled up right now?
I got it up.
Okay. So let's say I'm at utility. I want to play a Spur and I have 4,300 left. Who would you put in here? It's utility out of all these players in this game.
So
who do you think?
On the Spurs only?
On the Spurs only. Well, I mean, no, if you think there's a better option on Denver, you can let me know too there, but.
Okay. So the Spurs,
I just noticed that AP had a bunch of these guys as in the filler range, after I spent up for, I like a Jokic Murray stack. I think that would be cool. Right. But to do that, I'm going to have to play some of these guys.
Yeah. That's a good question. I would probably say that if Devin Vassell was a full go, mm-hmm. I would probably think that he would be my favorite play at 4,100 in that range. One guy that no one's going to play, on DK on this 3-game slate, I do think he's someone you could look at is Bryn Forbes. Not the best player, but he's a 3-point shooter. And Pop will give him extra run if he's knocking down his shots, which is always nice. And you get the 3-point bonus on DraftKings. So I wish he was a stone 3K, but nobody's going to click this dude's name. And he's someone that, like I said, if he gets rolling from the outside, Pop could extend his minutes. And I think that's why some of these games you'll see he's gone from 15 minutes to 24 minutes to 18 to 24, back to 23. Like it's just kind of all over the place, back and forth. And I think some of it's due to just depending on how he's playing, how he's affecting the game. Because the dude is a dead-eyed shooter, and Pop loves him. So he's just someone that, again, no one will look at. I agree. Free Thad Young. Thad Young, if he starts, Thad Young is going to be like the most chalky play on the slate if he starts at that price tag.
Do you think that'd be wild? How did that happen? Where doesn't he seem like he's the perfect Pop player, and then he gets
does. There? I don't know if Pop just doesn't like the fit with him and Podol. I think that's what it is personally. I think Pop doesn't like the fit with him and Podol to like in the game together for some reason.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. I was like, did he like piss him off in practice or something that we don't know about? Did he like mouth off in a meeting or something? Right?
Do you remember that stretch when Podol was out and Thad was coming off the bench, but he was playing like a majority of the minutes?
And we were running that Drew Eubanks guy every night in our lineup.
Yeah. Everyone was playing Drew Eubanks. I was trying to tell everyone Eubanks sucks and not to play him at like the Stone Min.
It's so funny. I was watching you guys on Final Countdown, right? And you were just hammering Eubanks sucks, and Tony's waffling, and then he runs his projections and he goes, I just ran my projections. Eubanks sucks. he wanted to run his projections before he joined you, but
he put a tad at JS. What he did was he heard me say he sucked so many times that he knocked him down like 8 percentage points for how many times I said Drew Eubanks sucks. He knocked him down like one at a time.
Yeah.
And then he ran his projections and was like, yeah, he fucking sucks. I'm taking him out. I was like, thank God. And I forget what happened, but he did like nothing too that game.
That was one of those unintentional humors where I'm just laughing out loud. You know, we type LO all the time, but that was like a literal laugh out loud.
Those are just the plays though, where like people just get fed. Like people who don't know anything will just like lock those guys in at 3-2 or whatever he was, 3K or 3-3 or whatever. And it's just like, I know those people, all they're doing is just running the projection, and they don't understand that like, he's not going to get Podol's run. Like he's not going to see 32 minutes. Like he's just not. Yeah. You're getting a guy who's going to get outplayed by the center. And one thing Greg Popovich is, he's a field coach. Mm-hmm. Like how many times have you seen Pop play a guy from the bench and just roll the bench if they're playing well,
right?
And leave his best player on the bench.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not talking about like Tim Duncan or anything like that, but like he's done it to DeJounte for years. Mm-hmm. This is the first year, in my opinion, where he's finally, no matter what happens, he's like letting DeJounte play. But he'll do it to like Derek White randomly. He'll do it to Keldon Johnson at times. He'll do it to
he used to do it to Rudy Gay a lot last year.
Rudy Gay, another good example. Yeah, that's how Popovich coaches. So if you're not like an established star, he doesn't care.
It's a good strategy. It's like you're competing for minutes every night, right? They talk about that in the NFL, right? You're competing for snaps every day in practice. They don't get that much practice. So to Pop, you're competing for minutes every night, just like the NFL, you're competing for every rep.
Yeah, I remember there was one of those games where they were getting pounded, right? And was it Trey Jones? What was the backup guard, I think, that night? And he came into the game. And there was like 2 plays in a row where he just like turned the ball over. You could tell Pop was fucking pissed. And he just like, he called the timeout. He must have like, I'm sure he yelled at him or something like that. Goes back in the game. The kid comes down the floor, takes like a bad shot. Pop hooked him right away. And they were losing by like 30. And he just hooked them for the next guy. It was like, you lost your shot. Yeah. Pop, like that's how he coaches. He coaches that way because the young guys, they either respond or they fold. And that's what Pop wants to see. You either respond when you get punched in the mouth or you fold. If you fold, then you're sitting your ass on the bench. And I might not go to you next time. If you respond, he's going to give you more chances. That's just how he rolls.
As long as we're just freestyling here and we got some time, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Lonnie Walker was the guy that I was really high on. And I feel that in the scenario you just mentioned, came to my mind. Do you think he kind of folded, right? When Pop gave him the opportunity?
Yep. And that's why he brought back Bryn Forbes. So if people forget, Bryn Forbes started on the Spurs. Pop loved him. Played him randomly all the time because the kid is just good at what he's good at. He's good at moving without the ball, and he's good at catching and shooting. Puts the ball on the floor maybe once or twice, and then he puts it up or passes. He doesn't mess around with it. Yeah. Pop loves that. All right, give me the shooter, and that's your thing. You know what I mean? The kid leaves, goes, where was he? Milwaukee last year, right?
Yeah.
Spread. Wasn't he on Milwaukee?
And he did.
He had some
as
good
a bench. He just couldn't get minutes during the playoffs, but he did great for them during the regular season.
I think he had a couple games during the playoffs where he was decent.
I'm just thinking of the finals. He got torched. And then he didn't get another minute the rest of the time. Like,
wasn't it the Nets series? Wasn't it the Nets series? He had a couple good games.
Yeah, and he did good against the Hawks too. But that makes a little more sense, right?
Yeah.
They didn't attack him as much.
Right, but so then he brings him back, and when he brought him back, I was like, wow, that's interesting because they got Devin Vassell, Trey Jones, Lonnie Walker. They got a lot of like good young guards that they could give chances to, and they bring back Bryn Forbes, and I think Pop he needed like a more consistency of a shooter. And Lonnie Walker, as good as he is so inconsistent. Like, that's the biggest problem with him. The dude, he's a great, at times he looks like a great shooter. And then at other times he just can't hit a fucking thing. And it's like, what's going on with this guy? He needed more consistency. I think that's one of the reasons why Bryn is back with the Spurs. And I think it hurts Lonnie a little bit.
All right. Well, we pretty much touched on anything. I mean, is there any other basic NBA stuff you want to talk about since this is turning more into
Pop hates dribblers. Lonnie dribbles too much. We the people. You're right.
Yeah,
it's the truth, man. It's the truth. And if people, I watched DeJounte for the first couple of years. Pop used to scream at him about this. He used to dribble the shit out of the basketball, and it was like driving him nuts. He wanted him to make decisive plays and just go. And he would get mad when he'd start dribbling the air out of the basketball. And like I said, now it's good because he's got a little leeway spread, but he stopped doing it as much. He used to do it all the time where he just dribbles the shit out of the basketball. Now it's more, the ball is moving quicker. That's what Pop wants. He doesn't want people it's not the I game. It's the we game. Unless you got Tim Duncan. And Tim Duncan was still a we guy. You know what I mean? People remember Tim Duncan is great and is amazing, but he was still a we guy. It wasn't
he doesn't shoot through double teams.
No, he wasn't a selfish guy. Right. He made the right basketball play all the time. That's why Pop loved him to death. He was a smart basketball player who could do whatever you asked him to do. If they didn't double, he would attack you. They sent the double team, he'd make the right basketball play, and he did it every single time.
Yeah. All right. This has been a lot of fun, man. I think this has been actually one of the best episodes we had just because of the, general basketball stuff. And
we need to actually sit down. We'll do like a podcast spread where we can sit down and just,
and people can listen to it more than just the game. And we'll go through all the teams. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll have to talk about setting that one up. But, I think we gave everyone a real good idea on just 3 games tonight. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a NBA rundown show that's going over an hour tonight. So I think credit to us there. That being said, it's time to give the people what they want, and that is the best bets. What's your best bet for tonight, JSU?
Oh, this one's easy. Utah -3 against Philly. Give me all the Utah in the world. I will take them. Philly, not that good. Just bet Utah and move on with your day. If you want to take the Nuggets too and parlay it, you can if you want, but just give me Utah and let's walk to the winner's circle together.
All right. Since I don't want to go head to head with you on a best bet, and I like the Spurs in that matchup, I will take the Memphis Grizzlies. I think it's a tough play, but we don't have much to choose from tonight, and we like to give out picks. If we would have done the show at 6 a.m., I probably would have given out that over. Because we kind of have this idea in our head that the Lakers are an under team. because we think of LeBron playing so slow. But if you don't ever watch the games and you just run the number, I know we hate doing that, right? But if you just look at the numbers, they're going to tell you this is a high-paced team that goes over a lot. So I was going to bet the over. The value on that's absolutely gone. But this team comes in on the over. What's that saying? This isn't a blowout. You're going to get plus 3.5. Hey, if you're going to take this play from me, be patient. I wouldn't bet this till tip off. I don't see Memphis taking a lot of money. So I think it's going to go to 4.5. Grab it for tip.
Yeah.
I think Memphis keeps it close here. The game probably goes over, maybe even at this adjusted number. But don't bet into those bad lines. Don't chase the steam like that. Grab Memphis when you've got the line value there. So we both love Utah. If you didn't say Utah, that would have been my best bet because that is my favorite. Yeah,
well, because that is the best bet on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. So. And I think one other thing, too, from a DFS side, those Memphis guys, people are going to look at this matchup, and with the over being a thing where the totals moved a ton and spreads talking about how we both think they can hang in this game, those Memphis guys are going to be some good DFS plays tonight. I think, Memphis might be the team. I know everyone's going to look to the Denver-San Antonio game just because whenever you've got the best stud on the slate, people are going to want to stack that game on 3-game slates. But don't just count this Memphis team. The Memphis team has a lot of players that you could look at. So don't be afraid to play some Memphis guys, even if you didn't want to play one of the Lakers stars.
All right.
Like, you don't have to play a Lakers star to play these Memphis guys. You could play 3 Memphis guys and then stack the Spurs game. But you don't have to play a LeBron James, but you could if you wanted to. It's just, I think the Memphis guys are some of the better plays on the slate. And I don't know if many people will look at it that way.
All right, JSU, if they weren't here earlier, let them know what is going on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel and the exciting news and the tutorial that the people are going to receive if they tune in.
Yeah, guys, before you just head out, 4:45 Eastern Time, NBA Hardwood Show live. We're going to be doing a demo with SaberSim. So we're going to do a screen share. This show is going to be free for you guys, and we're going to screen share the Opto that SaberSim and us are partnering with to get. And we're going to show you guys how to use it. We're going to show you how we use it, the process behind it. I think AP is going to be doing that demo for NBA, obviously with Hoop, and I think Mangone's on that show too. So 4:45 Eastern Time, that is free on YouTube on the Run Pure Sports channel. Make sure you check that out. And then after that, at 6 p.m., the Showdown show, the NFL Showdown show that we normally do at 3:45, we're doing at 6 p.m. tonight. And we're going to give that show out free because we are going to do another free demo using the SaberSim optimizer for the NFL Showdown slate. That'll be with me, Big T, Tambo. I think Hoop might jump back on for that as well. So we're going to show you guys how we use their Opto. And right now we got a limited time offer with the promo code SABER15. Use the promo code SABER15, get you 15% off. If you are a new subscriber and you want the Run Pure Sports premium package with the Saber Opto, I think it's around $130 for the package right now with the limited time offer. If you use the 15%, SABER15 is the promo code. If you are a current RPS member and a subscriber to the premium package for Run Pure Sports, and you want to upgrade to the SaberSim Opto, all you have to do is go to my account and hit change subscription and upgrade the SaberSim Opto. And when you do that, just punch that promo code in SABER15. It should still give you 15% off that purchase as well. So even if you're a current subscriber, you can still take advantage of the promo code. If you have any questions, though, just hit up info@Run Pure Sports or hit us up in the Discord chat. We can obviously help you out. And tune into these live shows because they're free for everyone. 4:45 Eastern Time for NBA, and then NFL, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. All on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. We'll see you guys then. It should be fun.
All right. Well, JSU, so much fun having you on, man. And like I said, we always like to give out picks, but it's also great to get some of that general basketball discussion in there as well. I know
hit that
I
like button
enjoyed
on
it.
your way out, please. Hit that like button. Spread appreciates it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely hit the like, and hey, share with your friends because this one's evergreen. Even if they're not necessarily evergreen, but at least a week, right? Even if they're not gonna play the games tonight, I think there was a lot of fun discussion just about general basketball trades, how teams are constructed. So I had a lot of fun doing this, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. I'm sure everyone will enjoy watching those shows tonight, and hopefully we get some winners, especially with the Utah Jazz. Thank you everybody for joining us. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and run pure.